watching the clock, 10,000 hours go by. I keep putting in work, the tears are filling my eyes. I swear I've never been tested like this, but this is mine. It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time. Never look back. If something standing in my way, I always push back. If something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever. This world is won't take me. The highest fall, it won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me, made me. I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
Welcome back, guys. We're back again, and this is Danggun talking. We're still getting his voice online, but Danggun and also Bitdo, they're doing their own segment this time around, and let's see how game 2 went about. It really was just an aggressive composition being formed by both teams, and I saw that the trade that was happening in the top lane was basically the clincher for the game for Gen.G, and we'll see how the details of that interaction affected the entire game. We're going to try to see how that happened. Let's look at the video to see what exactly we're talking about here. Kennen definitely has already used the E to get out, so no way to get away. All the mobility gone for Kennen, and we actually saw the ultimate being used, and he's acting the best of efforts. Trying to survive out of it, but just saw Sejuani and also the Mundo already getting too much of an advantage in that earlier interaction, and didn't allow Tarzan to come for the counter gank and get what he wanted. So what was important for that was that they knew what skills were missing from the Kennen, so it allowed basically two players here with Ambition and also Cube to get the job done in top lane, and that was a huge 3 kills I got over to Gen.G. And we were actually looking at how the top lane Kennen could have done better to save that E skill for mobility to get away from a possible gank came through. So just to clear the line, that was a heavy investment being put out by the Kennen. So Sword knocking the best out of that one, and ended up being him along with 2 teammates dying out right after the interaction. So just saw Viper with the Morgana being affected by this next play here. We're gonna look at this here. This was right here. Shen was trying to using the ultimate, and Morgana was trying to just teleport in. Maybe was thinking that the Shen already made it through, so kind of awkwardly alone is gonna be the Morgana. Maybe the communication wasn't there between the bot duo, and literally just a poor ADC just going all the way to the top lane by himself and trying to fight against the Sejuani and Mundo. Definitely wasn't going to be the trade that GRIFFIN was looking for. It was very important to notice how GRIFFIN made those minor mistakes that had a big turnaround in terms of them losing out their chances to win out that game or to close out the series. So we actually just look at how the Mundo interaction was very important there. Basically, the auto attack and the E, of course, we know that can be a combo and put out more damage more than expected. So definitely is another thing where from 70 all the way down to 180 is what he's saying. So with that, the auto attack and the E, so Mundo putting out the explosive damage can be surprising for your opponents at times. So as a typical tank, we definitely heard the interactions coming in from Mundo saying it's not just a purely a tank, but it can be a very much of a bruiser And still dominating in that top lane. And let's look at set 2 and see how the fans had reacted. And really, feels like Dangun is not going to get the short rounds today because it's already in game 3 for this first series. So we'll see how this all unfolds. This is a close interaction and a close matchup between the two teams so far. So Gen.G definitely putting up a fight, and GRIFFIN looking like they want to close out this series, but they just have to do it through one more game. So game 3 should be very important. We're going to get to that, the one-line summary here. And just telling Crown to not get away from the Malzahar anymore. So, Malzahar and Crown forever duo, and we'll see how that goes for that next round. So sending it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. I'm sure a lot of people watching at home are saying, please split that duo apart. They want to see something that's not Malzahar, but Crown comes back in, he plays it yet again, and they find success. But how much was it on the side of Gen.G's play, and how much was it on the side of the draft? Maybe we'll never know, but we know that Ambition has won his first MVP of the summer split.
Congratulations to Ambition, did a really good job of just being the denial Sejuani's done before. He did the same role against Katie Rolster in the Worlds qualifier last year, and they went on to win that tournament. Here his big job was no one near my Kog'Maw, and honestly, he did his job pretty aptly as the game went on.
Yeah, there was one moment where that wasn't handled as well as it could have been, but I mean, it started things off on a pretty wrong foot for the side of GRIFFIN. Basically, the hand delivery coming in from Tarzan, allowing for QB to flash in.
And then the late delivery from Viper, who said, why not 3 kills to the enemy team?
Yes, it was
bad.
It was interesting.
It was very interesting, but this was what happens in the late game when they have insane outscale and the enemy team was behind for the majority of it. They just win because their comp is way better than the enemy's comp.
They can just barrel right over them. They try to get the leap in here for Tarzan, but
I like what Ambition's doing here. If you watch the bottom side, zones out Viper, zones out Chovy, and the future fight zones out the cannon. Knows exactly what he needs to do. They don't allow GRIFFIN to recreate the fortunate dive to the backline when Gen.G just didn't really care. Thought the game was over. It went a bit further than that, but we all knew we were going to a game number 3.
Yeah, that was pretty clear early on. You know, the draft, hard to execute off of to begin with. And then by about 6 minutes in, the game was looking pretty over. So GRIFFIN kind of just have to wipe the slate clean, go into best of 1 mode here to try to close it out. They're back over on the blue side. I don't think they're going to get the Nocturne on their hands again this time, but we'll see what Gen.G's got in store. It's still going to be Ambition, still going to be Crown.
Yeah, really interesting to see how the pick ban comes in, because Gen.G were clearly trying something in game number 1 and then lost to the Shen Nocturne in the end. So I'd kind of be flabbergasted if they left it open again. Didn't contest one of the picks. But going back to the previous game, it's the first 2 bans. From here, it was Talia Morgana for GRIFFIN, and for Gen.G, it was Aatrox Zoe. I think you cut the Zoe ban. I don't think you're too worried about Zoe.
I think you self-banned Morgana.
And now we ban away the Ezreal Tahm Kench by banning away Tahm Kench straight up in the first round. So if they are to first pick Zoe, there's not an annoying Tahm Kench, but Braum could be substituted in a pretty similar scenario.
See that. Expect that Core JJ is also going to have a plethora of other supports ready to roll. Aatrox going to be taken off the board yet again. Just don't want to let that one through. So the final is going to be here.
Talia Morgana were the 2 bans, and one of them will have to be dropped. Maybe both of them will be dropped by GRIFFIN after losing the previous game. Sejuani will be taken by Gen.G on the red side if they can get it, denying one of the flex picks away from Gen.G. Interestingly, in solo queue, Ambition has been spamming the damage junglers. He's been spamming Kindred and Talia. You wonder if he would actually play it in a pro game. It's far away from his recent reputation. A lot open. Shen could be claimed as a first pick if Lehens needs to have a first round support. Ambition could be denied the Sejuani with a first pick here, but it would be Sejuani versus Trundle finally. And Talia. We know Crown is a great Talia player, and Ambition has been playing in solo queue. They will take the flex Talia at first pick.
So see. Just going to get the first pick, Sejuani on the red side, perhaps. Maybe just another Mundo. We were hoping to see some carry performances out of Cube here today. The Gangplank's about as close as it's going to get, but a lot of beef already stacked up here. Pork, I guess I should say. For the side of Gen.G, the Mundo, and then the Sejuani coming through.
They want a last pick for Ruler. That's why they're doing this. They tried for last picking for Cube. It didn't work. Seems like they're going to last pick for Ruler unless he just wants to double ban and take his pick at Crowns. But yeah, a counter pick for support or AD carry seems very likely. On the blue side, we do see when you take a first round Mundo, there can be consequences. It will be the Darius versus Mundo matchup unless shenanigans are enacted. And Shen Taliyah as a duo could actually be the bot lane here for GRIFFIN.
That's true.
So that's another interesting one. That was the first really impressive mage bot lane duo we saw in Korea, was SK Telecom playing it. Gen.G, will they just go to the Taric? They will.
Okay.
Not going to be a boosting strategy here. This is not going to be out the funnel. This is just power pick Taric.
We're talking about this. This is mid Sejuani. They're going to funnel the Sejuani.
No. Yeah. Taking the fun out of the funnel, putting the Taric into the support role, just all normal
So
style.
it's just a Nell then.
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh!
Trundle's going to be banned away.
We've been denied Trundle Sejuani.
Hooray!
Exactly.
Thank you, Gen.G.
I want to see Tarzan return to his old reputation. Talking to LCK junglers about Tarzan when GRIFFIN was on their undefeated streak in Challenger, the words aggressive and impressive mechanics on the invade were things brought up then that we haven't seen from him. He's been much more pathing jungler in his short tenure in the LCK. Camille could be considered, but that's a pretty big nerfs on 7-13, or 8-13 I should say. That was a year in the past for a moment there. Ezreal's going to be banned, but will they just look at the enemy team and say, can we get away with Kog'Maw once again?
Talon, final ban here from Gen.G, keeping that one out of the hands of Chovy. Has been a rising pick. Because that one's banned away, maybe we will see something like this Syndra back out, perhaps for Crown. See what he's got practiced up. Malzahar banned away by GRIFFIN.
I think if Malzahar was up, he'd just take it so he could blind pick and allow Ruler a last pick. Will they actually last pick for Crown is the big what if, as Orianna would fit this draft from Gen.G, but would be a lot of scaling. Do they feel confident? If they know it's Taliyah mid lane, you could go Orianna in the matchup after all the nerfs. And he's been playing Orianna in solo queue. They're going to last pick for Crown. I think they're going to last pick the Orianna. They're going to take the Kog'Maw now. And it does seem like Orianna will be the final pick here for Gen.G.
Still going to be a lot of protection, you know, coming through. Not the Tahm Kench there for the Devour, but they have the Mundo, they have the Sejuani yet again. Now they're going to have that Taric ultimate to come down and ensure that he's going to be...
GRIFFIN have a lot of options about lane assignment because we've already outlined that Taliyah Shen could be a bot lane duo. And it looks like Taliyah Shen could very much be that bot lane duo. Could still be Taliyah jungle from Tarzan if he wants it, but going to have Zoe in the mid lane. GRIFFIN have so many different ways they can approach. They definitely have more damage this time. So already feeling much better about the draft, but rounding it out is always what you need if you want to put that final death knell into the side of Gen.G.
Well, looks like it might just be the Zac. Gonna get locked up yet again here for Tarzan. Has a lot more to work with this time around.
He also has consistent damage, but mostly magical. There is physical damage and true damage from the Darius, but there is mixed damage types. There's threat onto the backline from the Zac. This is what they couldn't get to in Game 2 that you're a much bigger fan of, and the Darius pick, I think, allows it to come together. Will they last pick Orianna here?
Oh,
the Vel'Koz would be another last pick,
this
and
is
they're
a
going to go for the
Crown
Vel'Koz.
special. The Vel'Koz going to come through. It's been a while.
How have you used your time off? Apparently playing more Malzahar and Vel'Koz.
I've been doing
Crown.
a lot of the same stuff.
This is really risky against Zac as well. Orianna would have been equally risky, but the Vel'Koz doesn't have the utility the Orianna does. Risky choice, but Crown on an old favorite. Feels like if Tarzan gets ahead, there's a lot of people he's going to be pretty happy about kidnapping to the side of GRIFFIN.
Sure, Gen.G taking a couple more risks here with this draft. Finally got a win for Ruler on the Kog'Maw. Can they do it? Can Lightning strike twice in the same place, Pop Smithy? That's the question.
It is the question. I think GRIFFIN have a lot of lane control in this game. Top lane and bot lane should both be shove lanes for GRIFFIN. Big control for the Darius. As he's ganked many times. I think Ambition's going to have to be proactive in a way. You don't usually have to want to rely on him to be. And mid lane's going to be just fine. For the Zoe, might even have kill pressure depending on how the lane goes. So, very tricky draft for Gen.G in the laning phase. I think late game they have a similar amount of optimism about the late game as they did in Game 2. But because there's more damage on the side of GRIFFIN, it's not going to be the guarantee that it was in Game 2. So the light at the end of the tunnel, it's there, but it's flickering, and GRIFFIN have a lot of lanes to work with in the early game.
Well, Crown's back in for his second game of the summer split. Picked up the win with the Malzahar, coming back now is on the Vel'Koz, but going up against a Zac. A lot of pressure here. If they can draw that flash out early, Crown might as well just, you know, be good as dead in that mid lane. Won't be able to really push up to try to clear out the minion waves. And will not really be able to stick around because that kill pressure will be there once the kidnap comes online from Tarzan. Let's see if they can do it. Gen.G looking for the victory to try to take down the first place team here in the LCK. GRIFFIN trying to add another big team onto their kill list.
소환사의 협곡에 환영합니다. 미니언 생성까지 30초.
Nice drawings here.
Yeah,
Ruler
awesome.
with the Zaya. We saw that band away from him.
I'm
in
skeptical
game one.
that they
Oh,
draw
God.
those during game 1 and 2.
He is,
Ruler's pointing into my soul, and there is Ruler.
he's freaking out with that sign. Of course, the core JJ, Tom Kench on the left.
Couldn't put together the Ezreal Tom Kench this game after the Tom Kench ban. Couple of people, Key a couple of days ago, and now core JJ falling back onto the Taric. Wants to keep his Vel'Koz and Kog'Maw up for a long time. Will he just use it every time he sees the enemy Zac in the air? The answer is probably. The Zac versus Sejuani matchup was pretty common in Meta's past, and it's one that Sejuani actually was second to the Zac many, many times. The kidnap gets a lot of value. This is pretty cool.
Is that a
Dancing.
hyena?
Looks like one. Rocking out as get that full zoom away from the Vel'Koz.
I need that with the Alistar cowbell.
That's
going
true.
At the same time. And then Garen in the background.
And a Birdio.
Yes. Well, for now, go ahead and start things off in the jungle. Crown, only the one loss on the Vel'Koz.
You'll notice the KDA is low. That's because he had a game where he went 0-8 and won. You'll remember that game as he got squished by Galio a million times and then Ruler killed everyone.
0-8 and 1 or 0-8 and 1?
Either or, it kind of gets the same point. It's not really hyperbole. He really did feed super hard, but it didn't matter because Ruler was popping off.
He was a god in that game. Well, we'll see how he fares.
He's just going to shove in the laning phase, and a lot of Zoe's nerfs from previous Zoe are around her pushing power early. Bishan gets scuttled, so won't be double scuttled. And we have this Talia Shen coming back. Biggest takeaway about Talia Shen is, if the taunt hits, there's insane burst on this lane very, very early. Level 3 onwards, they have pretty insane burst. Electrocute Ignite as well in the lane between Viper and Lehend, so have to be very respectful. But that's kind of what you're going to do as Kog'Maw anyway, so
Yeah.
Kog'Maw unlikely to be in threat range too often.
Well, we saw from game 1, Lehend's consistently landing those very impressive shadow dashes. So if he can bring that out yet again here in game number 3, then perhaps the seismic shoves will connect right afterward. We'll see the Kog'Maw get popped. Gen.G gonna try to avoid that, but the thing that I do like so far is that we have another Infernal Drake coming in, Papa Smithy, as well as a gank up towards the top side. Ambition charging forward. Was spotted out on the ward. Not gonna get the connection there on the Arctic Assault, just a smattering of damage on the sword.
Sorry, I laughed when the Big Piggy was too short.
When he shorted it,
Oh!
couldn't get it.
Couldn't get that first application of the passive. Good understanding of where to stand for the sword.
That Poro slimmed some weight down. Maybe
Apparently
you
he's
would
been
be able
in
to
the
make that
gym.
charge distance.
But didn't help out. Tarzan's not spotted this time on the bot side, but engage range at level 1 isn't insanely large.
So far, just going to be hovering. Now he's going to channel it up. Pushes in, gets the pop-up,
Oh!
gets stunned up, but the flash taunt comes in. The seismic shove is there. Ruler going to get burned down. The Ignite comes through. They get the grab onto core. JJ drag him back in, but they cannot get the finish. Nice little explosion as the Kog'Maw does go down, but not going to be finding any answering kills. GRIFFIN get first blood.
First CC, just that 1 second little knock up from the E there coming in from Tarzan. Set up the engage from Lehend. He doesn't need an introduction to go for a taunt flash. Now it's at the cost of the Gromp on top side.
Oh.
Sword checking.
Oh, no.
Ambition.
And there it is. Finds him, but he may still quite far away. Lockup comes through. Sword getting a little bit of HP back with the Decimate, but otherwise going to be a good trade here from Ambition. Allow them to take away this blue buff, perhaps.
Be a contest here, but Darius already DPS'd out. Could teleport onto a ward, but blue buff already at 900. TP coming in.
Yeah, it will be TPing in. They get the blue buff. Sleepy Trouble Bubble connecting. Looking for the leap in. Tarzan just Gonna draw out the flash, gets a grab, but otherwise not gonna be able to get the stop there on Ambition, so he will make it out with that blue buff, but now no flash available.
Pretty low cost, though, for Griffin, because Tarzan doesn't need blue buff to clear. So
And
actually,
Sword was going back to the top lane
exactly.
anyway.
So in terms of what they lost to try to make a collapse play there to get the flash, kind of a free flash. You want the experience of the blue. You also want the cannon minion. Sorry, Sword, but he missed that one. Now, bot lane, Ruler doesn't have flash, and Core JJ is down exhaust. So, basically, if the taunt hits, they're kind of boned here in the lane.
Yep. It's already just swinging away. Gonna chunk him out a little bit, but Shen can only do so much. It's gonna be, you know, slow on the damage a bit here for the side of Viper.
Oh, commented down one of the little raptors.
Took it out.
But the tier first, and the null magic mantle first from Kog'Maw, who understands that base damage pretty insane on the Shen Talia all-in, and probably should show that respect. I imagine going to be Wit's End once again coming through from Ruler.
More than likely, just want to try to stay alive as best as possible. But already proving that combo is quite deadly.
It's getting zoned out of the wave. This Ruler going to use this zoning for a full back. Negatron Cloak first item. He's a tank.
I'm on the front line.
Tarzan
Wave.
can definitely try to encourage that with a certain kidnappers game goes on.
Yeah. The wave at least going to be caught by the side of Core JJ. Nice little jump away there by
Uh-oh.
Jovi, but he comes straight back into the disintegration ray. Goes low,
Vel'Koz
not
gives
gonna get
no
popped.
mundos at all about the portal jump. It's an easy one for him to train down. Nicely played from Crown.
Yeah. Jovi just going to finish clearing out the minions here in mid. Going to be down slightly. Crown with the smallest of leads here as far as the CS is concerned.
Now in my head, I think of Crown's hyperbolic time chamber, as we do see Ambition get away. Now I think about, did he just spend his entire time perfecting how to play against Zoe? Maybe that's all he did. He was like, I know how to beat Zoe in every matchup, baby.
It could be. The real secret is the Poppy. Somehow.
Poppy versus Zoe sounds pretty rubbish for the Poppy, I'm going to be honest.
That sounds awful.
Poppy's got a couple of matchups, as we've seen, and that Poppy Trundle combo is a dirty one. Ambition goes for the farm. Setting up for some big team fights, I think, here at Kilios. Team fight execution seems like it's going to be important, as that's a lot of bouncing for Core JJ.
Slide to the left, slide to the right. Gets out safely. Blue buff just going to be handed off here to Brown. Infernal still going to be sitting there. So no one really in position to try to take that one down yet.
But Griffin do have the pushing lanes. That's why Tarzan's going to start it up. Pushing lanes pretty
Making a
good.
fool of me, Tarzan!
Well, I mean, Zoe's in lane. They have top and bot pushing, so it's kind of a freebie. That's why you feel good about getting Infernal. If you pick the pushing lanes, you want to see the higher value first Drake. I'll definitely enjoy an Infernal here. For the side of Griffin. Viper keeps pushing, and remember, this is one of the few Gen.G games where they'll actually be out-roamed by the enemy duo lane, Achilleos. Usually they're on Tom Kench duty, rotating first. This is Talia Shen for best friend skipping along a wall all the way to the mid lane, so you have to be very careful here if you're Crown. Keeping up the flash at all costs is very important.
Well, Gen.G, I'm sure they're going to be happy to slow things down here. Just trying to get the Kog'Maw online. So the Ruler can start shredding people down. Cube just getting rid of this pesky control ward up top. We'll go back to farming, where he's currently been keeping up with Sword quite nicely here.
Junglers have been playing largely bot side, and when Tarzan went top side, couldn't find much value. Bit awkward to be equal CS against a Mundo. That's Mundo winning effectively, if you consider how strong this matchup is from the Darius side. Darius will have the ability to control the wave, and what that means in terms of what you're watching at home is if the call is push and rotate, the Darius will be able to do that first because he wins trades and has the faster wave clear. But for now, Ambition's top side, and Sword, with no jungle backup of his own just now, gonna play back.
We'll see if it happens, but also Mundo's not going to be able to interrupt the teleport should it be needed in a very fast reaction scenario, where Sword can just use the apprehend to stop Cube. We're expecting Cube to peel back. It's not his first rodeo. He's TP'd a numerous amount of time.
Just cleavering and backing off. And Gen.G, you can tell, they're all setting up for that late game. Negatron Rush on the Kog'Maw was the first obvious invitation of such a playstyle. But so far, Crown just straight up winning the trades against the Zoe has been the good news story for Gen.G fans, because he's kept the Zoe much more accountable. He's never been forced to use his flash or cleanse. He's already blown Zoe's flash, which Definitely more than we expected when the matchup was locked in. Is that Tom Kench? Sounded like Tom Kench.
Kind of does sound like it.
He just popped in for a moment, but you didn't pick me this time.
You were banned!
There's a nice angle from Ambition bot side.
Oh, yes it is, but this is going to be a very fast Weaver's Wall there for Viper to get himself out. Shadow Dash coming through from Lehens. Get locked up for a short little while there, but now the TP is going to be coming through, answered by Cuvee in the top lane. Cancels come down, and everybody survives.
Summoner's used, but Cuvee having to match was a pretty decent equalizer for the side. His little flip onto Core JJ is going to kill him. Os Chapter now in for the Talia.
Lehens used Ignite at some point.
Yeah, I wasn't clear about it. Maybe just defensively to dissuade an all-in. Tarzan's top side, they definitely could kill Mundo, so they're going to try for it. Remember, stopwatch is online.
He's hitching his way forward. Elastic Clink shot coming through. Leaps in to try to cut him off. Gets a grab, smacks them together, looks for the kidnap, but he's just going to miss it. Oh, he gets pulled right out the side. Sword gets a bunch of damage in, but it's not going to be enough to kill him. Cuvee can keep on going wherever he pleases.
G a bit off on that particular play there. Awkward stuff. Weren't able to actually pick up the kill and dominate the lane any harder. It'll be a re-entrance into the blue buff pit. A lot of kill pressure. Just the moment you have Executioner's calling and the ultimate there from the Darius. Mundo has to use 25% of his current health and thus can be in dunk range very easily against a Darius with a level 1 ultimate. That time, didn't have to use anything, just his ultimate on cooldown.
Checking for that Rift Herald to make sure it wasn't going down after the failed gank in the top lane. Push down towards the bottom side. Lehens and Viper still here, trying to defend. They have a lot of wave clear. Now they know exactly where Crown's at, pushing it from the side. So it's just walking up, trying to clear out any of the vision that's in the vicinity. We'll find the one there in the Tribe Brush, and the bot lane can go back to being relatively safe.
What I want to do with this game, pretty slow in the early game, is do a bit of table setting for what the team fights will look like. Because I had a lot of time to think about the Vel'Koz bit. We saw it from Deft, Rift Rivals, and the Awesome Dude role, and the bot lane role. We're seeing it in the mid lane from Crown, a noted lover of the Vel'Koz. One of the reasons why I'm liking the Vel'Koz, whether it is mid or bot lane, as, well, speaking of the Vel'Koz, pretty good in lane, as we can tell.
Yeah, he's just going to be burning Chovy down.
But as the team fights go, predictably, Zac goes in, wants to find Vel'Koz or Kog'Maw and pop it back. Let's assume that doesn't happen. Flash comes out, etc. The turnaround from Gen.G is much stronger than I think people appreciate because a lot of Vel'Koz's damage, you really have to think about his kit. I actually took the time to really put together all the parts of Vel'Koz. In your head, you're like, it's got true damage, that beam seems to do a lot of damage. How do you maximize it? See if we have enough time to discuss that as blue buff steal. See if that's going to come through. Again, Gen.G happy to just sacrifice. But the way that Crown really gets the most damage is if you actually apply 3 spells and get your passive off, that classifies the enemy champion as researched.
Yeah.
When that champion is researched, the beam does true damage. So what needs to happen here for Gen.G, enemy dives, it fails. You research a couple of people, and then Kog'Maw and the true damage on the Vel'Koz stand and deliver. That is an insane turn of damage. But the fights are really going to be 2 phases. Does the initiation work? If not, how much do they get burned down by the combinations? It's going to be really fun to track because it should be clear very early who's going to win the fight.
Hens very boldly just playing around this side of the map. Has ward cover, so he knows that the Sejuani is not going to be in the vicinity. Goes through, finds that taunt straight into the seismic shove in onto Core JJ. Will burn down a bit from the Ignite, but not going to be able to get the kill. But you can see the coordination much better in the bot lane compared to the Darius and the Zac up top.
Go Ludens when Archangel's respecting the damage here. The Talius doesn't quite have enough the damage to actually kill Core JJ. They have to kill him pretty fast to exhaust, and next time probably through an earlier Cosmic Radiance. So, bit of chicken played there. We talked about chicken champ select. We saw it there. Core JJ not thinking he was going to go down. Didn't use ult, didn't use flash, only exhaust on cooldown. And Griffin found a way to take this bot lane turret and rotate. We've already mentioned that Weaver's Wall plus the Stand United gives them a lot of map mobility when the lanes get a bit longer when the turrets go down.
Tarzan getting the spot there, I do believe, onto Ambition. Otherwise, Lehens might have been pushing up to try to stop Core JJ from taking down that control ward, but now, just play this one out safely. Gen.G starting up the second dragon of the game, looking for the mountain.
I know the mana bar on Viper isn't the healthiest, Tarzan walks up. He hasn't spotted the health bar just yet.
Do we just see the drive-by attempt here from Tarzan, or does he want to go in for the fight? Lehens is trying to apply some vision. Tarzan into the back. The Mountain Drake going to be sacrificed as Gen.G picks that one up. TP's coming through. Sword arriving from the top. Already, though, Tarzan getting jumped on. Will have that passive proc. Now Lehens straight into the middle. Weaver's Wall comes down, locking in 3 members of Flash. All 3 of them over the wall to safety. Finish off Sword. Chovy gets a bit of damage there. Auto Ambition, but cannot execute the Sejuani. Be trouble bubble, but not really the target he would have liked. Just finds the hit there on the Mundo. The Battlestar gonna miss, and Gen.G, all 5 members gonna walk away with their lives.
Gen.G just turned onto Sword, who went for a deep teleport, but no one to actually assist him in the backline. Tarzan had already used all his mobility for the team fight. Easy for them to get the kill. It's at the cost of 3 summoners, but they also got the Drake Achilles. Nice little win there for Gen.G.
Very nicely done. Mountain Drake on top of it, tying up the kill score. Tarzan thought maybe he was just gonna go over the wall for the steal, but tries to get the pick on the Cogwall, but misses it.
It's low percentage stuff, I think, from Tarzan, though, with incomplete information. The Cosmic Radiance does arm onto Crown, so he can walk up. They just all turn onto the Darius, and he's not known for his tankiness. He'll go down. Ambition just lives through all of it, but they got the Drake. That was the big primary objective, and they get no kills here as an answer to Griffin.
Yeah, trouble bubble in onto Ambition, almost 100% dead, but clips the Mundo instead. Griffin's still going to be in the lead by about 600 gold here, so still in a decent enough spot. But foundation being laid here for Gen.G, getting some objectives on the board. Going to keep trying to push forward the damage. The tankiness is just going to get better and better for them as this game goes on.
So I think they played to their items that time around. They know summoners are down. That's why you see Tarzan staying here. Archangel's not the biggest damage from Talia. No Trinity Force. It might even be Black Cleaver coming out from the Darius this time, despite having no one to profit off the armor reduction.
Ambition chasing Tarzan away from the brush here. Crown was hovering not that far behind, so Griffin looking for this dive. Will come up short.
Crown's been excellent at rotating first compared to the Zoe. Faster push of the Vel'Koz used to great effect. Double W, as you can see, makes short work of the minion wave.
He's just been running laps around Summoner's Rift.
And he's been running laps around Chovy in terms of impact in the first 20 minutes in this game. And that's already something that didn't really know what to expect when Crown was subbed in game number 2. Doing it on his old champ. He's not showing us anything new. He definitely looks refreshed out of a long time away from that bright sunlight of the booth here in Sangha.
Yet again, just roaming with the Ambition. Back up towards the mid lane, getting a catch onto Chovy. Highly unlikely. Might look for a little bit more damage here. Trying to find the shot. Ambition pushing forward, applying some pressure here. Turret's already been knocked down to about half HP. Carol's still available, but not that much time left to snatch it up. Otherwise, might have been a free first brick here for the side of Gen.G.
Lane here has to be so much more defensive. Ambition's going to jungle bot side as much as he can to stop the turret going down. Knowing he's there. As the blue buff exchange is happening, means the outnumbering is guaranteed, and thus the bot lane turret stays up longer. And what did we say Griffin were able to do in champs like this time? It was get much more substantially stronger lanes. Their laning phase is what were empowered. They could have had up to 3. Ended up being 2 as the Vel'Koz has played very well. But the Darius stalled after the early death. Talia Shen stalled from taking the turret. The on paper winning lanes Achilles meaning less and less. This game dragging along, and unless we see some amazing team fights, which still could happen from Tarzan on this engage, and they pop down Crown and Ruler and kill them instantly. That turnaround we mentioned, the true damage turnaround after the research by Crown and just Ruler being so high damage the moment the Rage Blade and the Blade of the Ruin King come in. Feels like Gen.G are exactly where they want to be at 19 minutes.
Yeah, he's nearly there. Sacked the tower in the bottom lane. Wanted to go back, wanted to get his purchases through. Ruler had the TP ready to go, I do believe, unless it just came off cooldown, but didn't want to have to go back in by himself. Poor JJ would have been trailing behind, which meant that he would have been a very juicy target for the dive, so just kind of had to let that objective go away.
Do like that Sword hasn't actually pigeonholed himself towards Black Cleaver. He's going Trinity Force. Black Cleaver, if you have other 80 damage deals, you can understand, but the Talia doesn't really make sense. And the reason why people love Trinity Force is all about the alt, auto application of a bit of burst and then a lot of burst. Once you finally get that ultimate up.
Just shy on that one. control ward gonna stand. Lehen's wanting to push forward into the river, but so much uncertainty. Position of Gen.G, that's just a bit too risky here at the moment.
I'm always amused by the minions being upped in health from the redemption from the Zoe. There's a Protobelt on the ground, grabbed by the Zoe. Very, very beefy front line. Very difficult for Chovy to poke out Mundo, Sejuani, or Tarek at any point in the game, and he should not be getting access to Vel'Koz or the Kog'Maw. But we see Gen.G find a different answer to the Zoe and make her trivialize.
Oh boy, well, poor JJ.
All right.
He's just gonna get popped, uses the Cosmic Radiance, but not nearly fast enough to try to stay alive. Now Flash gonna be down there on the Tarek.
That was quick.
Yeah, we'll just have to get a replay of that one. But blinking, we missed it basically. Have to imagine it was just the jump in from Tarzan with a seismic shove, and he just disappears.
Vel'Koz and Kog'Maw still alive, so taking the mid lane turret in a siege, still very tricky. So not feeling confident enough to walk up against Cuvée. But now, just a kill. Poor JJ has to fully reset. The home guard buff is up, but of course has exhaust, not teleport on the support this time.
We'll push forward, looking for some damage here. Onto this tower, double bubble connecting into the back. Threaten on the dive there from Tarzan, but they know that Core JJ's backup would have certainly been a bit of a death sentence here for himself. Had he done so, but instead can just get the Ocean Drake.
Often you see Atelier use the Weaver's Wall to stop two strong wave-clearing champions from clearing the wave. But honestly, in that side, Crown probably just ults the wave. He's going to have huge range on that, can poke it with Q. So Weaver's Wall to stop wave clear is actually pretty impossible in this game with the immense range of Crown and Ruler. You got the Drake, Ocean Drake, this late in the game. Not going to be too highly contested. But
There's another one on the way.
There is, so that's only really going to be a build-up for the Elder. Definitely when it comes to kills, ended up being a much lower impact kill onto the Tarek than perhaps it would have been in a different game because they couldn't actually get any neutrals from it.
Things still very slow and steady here. Gen.G trying to get the ship upright. Down by 2,000 gold at the moment, so nothing insurmountable here from them. Keep trying to push these items through onto Ruler. Nearly has that Rage Blade ready to go.
Sitting on the gold for a long time. He must have it now.
Let's see. In the shop for a while.
Guess he was at 40 gold short or something, but he's sitting on.
Yeah, TPing back into the mid lane.
Yeah,
there we
finally.
go. Okay, gets the purchase right before the TP goes off.
Doesn't have to walk to lane, so can afford to sit on gold a bit longer. Big jump in power. Double proc of the flat damage on the Wit's End. No Rage Blade this time. Probably still wants it to try to DPS through the Zac in general. But no lifesteal. When Negatron Cloak for laning control, not the Vamp Scepter we usually see. So going to be doing fine as it's another redemption.
Getting clipped by that one.
Unacceptable. He got magic resist for the redemption.
Sit him. No, wait, they don't have an 80s. So
Crown alone on top side, and Ambition once again been defensively jungling. Crown.
Yep. And just gonna get them right back out. Tarzan staying safe.
Got the flash out of Crown, so we'll take it.
Be good. That's gonna be one vulnerable Vel'Koz now.
Like Chovy's eyes have been off a little bit with some of the Trouble Bubbles and Paddle Stars. You'll want to correct that very soon. Gen.G sitting back and wave clearing. Must be Crown and Ambition.
Yep. Trouble Bubble coming through.
One's
diving
better.
over the top. It's going to be the Cosmic Radiance coming down. Triggers just in time to keep Ruler alive, but only for the moment, perhaps. They are still pushing forward. They're still looking for that Kog'Maw. He's bleeding down. The Ignite ticks away. And Tarzan gets the finishing blow. Now Core JJ falling as well. They'll get the pop onto the passive, but Ambition not really going to be able to stick around trying to get the finish, but that's just going to be the burn down coming through. Disintegration Race.
Keep him alive!
Keeps him alive. Tarzan will walk out. Does not go down. 2 for 0 here for GRIFFIN. Now maybe looking at this mid-tier 1 tower. Sword arriving.
What are they going to get from it, though? We know it's still so tricky to take this mid lane out of turret, and they didn't want to go over to Baron after Tarzan fell low. A lot of resources used to keep him alive, keep that teammate on the Rift. And again, the objectives are really frustrating GRIFFIN.
Yeah. The rotation up to the top, though. Viper will be able to fast push that wave. Try to get some damage in on to the tower here via the minions, but otherwise, take another one. They move ever so slightly forward. 3,000 gold in the lead at the moment. can't get anything even after dismantling the bot lane of Gen.G.
Should mention that Baron speed is pretty slow as Viper.
Oh, Ambition started cheating his way back. Crown gonna have to go golden here. Using that stopwatch, still under threat. Viper trying to kill him off, but Crown seems like he might be on the exit. In the meantime, Tarzan dragging 2 in with the kidnap. Disintegration rate coming through. Crown turning his attention over onto the Zac, who does not have that passive anymore. Viper throws down the Weaver's wall.
Zoe
comes over the side, misses out on the first shot, but Viper follows up the back end of that paddle star, and they're able to take down Crown. Jovi still pushing forward, looking for the hit here onto core JJ. Not going to be able to find the stun, and yeah, he's just going to get melted out. Jovi comes up with a solo kill in that regard. Flash away from Cube, keeps him out of range of that apprehend, so Sword not going to be able to kill off the Mundo.
Still between turrets, that's how long these outer turrets have lasted. They have to go so deep to pick up kills. That time was Crown. Greedy positioning, getting caught. They're going to try and turn onto Baron. They don't have a lot of Baron damage. I think they desperately want to turn onto Ambition.
Yeah, they're trying to keep him out of here. The double gate coming through, Jovi trying to push him off.
They're going to run out of damage now because Viper's on work ground.
They jump forward, Jovi. Himself safe, finds that sleeping trouble bubble in the dive, comes through straight onto Ambition, and he doesn't stand a chance. Viper finds the kill, Sword slowing up Cube, and this time he's outnumbered. The dunk comes through. Sword takes him down, and Griffin yet again turn their sights over onto this Baron. Apprehended on the ruler, another dunk, a decimate, a couple more hits. Might just bleed out here.
He'll live
Heal
up,
will
you would
come
imagine.
through. Yeah.
Oh,
Nope,
maybe not.
Not gonna happen.
Damn. That's a lot of bleed damage.
That is a lot of bleed damage.
Baron is here. That was through a heal and also a Bastion from the turret. Cool story there.
Yeah, it feels like we're 2015 Worlds all
Watch
over
the
again.
ult over the wall. Crown could try to steal this.
Gonna be looking for something here. Tosses out, gets the knock up.
So scared.
Zoned away from the pit, tries to get it so dangerously close, but will not be able to find it. And now he's gonna die. Chovy taking him out. They're looking for more. Core JJ kidnapped back through Cosmic Radiance. Not gonna hit in time. He will fall. It's 11-1, and Griffin suddenly are just dismantling Gen.G left and right.
How to lose a game in one play. All started with Crown going down. He ulted about 7 times in the one passage, came back from the death chamber, but it wasn't going to be enough. They can't interrupt the Baron. The turn off the Baron was great from Griffin. We mentioned they couldn't DPS it down. They only had one mind, and Tarzan keeps jumping in and getting 2 or 3 members with every re-engage.
Unbelievable. Deathless here on everybody other than
When
Sword.
do you even start the replay? You start it on the turn from Baron.
I don't even know.
Talia could, in a theoretical world without worked ground, kill the Baron, but because the ground is worked, you have to turn off it.
I'm
they
curious.
do. Ambition's too far up.
Okay, Ruler just runs past a ward and then gets bled to death.
The Blade did a lot of. The Blade did about 600
I mean,
damage.
I'm serious. It reminded me of 2015 Worlds when we saw Balls get the pentakill.
Yeah, that was a strange one.
It was what, versus Fnatic, I think? He's bled Reckless down. I think he was playing Sivir.
Seems like Gen.G, they just shed too much blood. And to continue the analogy, in that fight, so many kills. People dying twice in run rotation and the Baron. These objectives we knew were impossible for Griffin to pick up. Now with the Baron, they can either wait for the minions or they can try another dive. Tarzan is massive, and he still has a stopwatch.
I like the Warbogs here on the Hens. It's that added HP to just go jumping through.
Playing 3 lanes, definitely the percentage way to go. This is on a ward, so Cube need to disengage.
I mean, I don't know if Tarzan really cares. Might still go for it. Ambition going to be nearby, but Sword is, he's chunking out that tower. In the meantime, mid, tier 1 finally does fall. The bot will go down shortly thereafter because good luck stopping a Darius with the Trinity Force.
Gen.G have tried to return to old styles with the Kog'Maw. The reason why that was so apt in game number 2 was mistakes in the early game, and also that, as we mentioned a million times, Achilles, Griffin were pretty toothless in terms of damage. This time the damage is there, and yet we still saw Ambition shadowing lanes, trying to farm. They invited Griffin to pick winning lanes again and again and again, and this time they were punished. It took a lot longer. We wondered if it would ever happen. The Baron play all in one fell swoop, and all that good defensive work for 22 minutes means nothing now, as Griffin are knocking on the inhibitor turrets and trying to close the game.
Yeah, Gen.G. I don't know if you get any special kind of superpower for winning the World Championship, but if they have one, they need to activate it right now.
They don't have the most circuit points, Achilles. There are no guarantees to make it to Worlds once again. They will finish 6-3, so they will be competitive if they do lose this series to Griffin. So all is not lost. It might all be lost for Cube.
Yeah, it's just going to be a solo kill right here underneath the turret. Sword just taking him down. Remember when he was struggling in the laning phase when he should have had an advantage, and then we went late, and now Sword is just destroying him?
You know, a few other things happen at the same time, but
That's
yes,
true.
Kilios, I remember that.
I digress.
Sejuani might go down here.
It's going to get locked up. The Weaver's Wall coming through, but it's not going to have Chovy riding on it. Just going to go ahead and keep himself safe as he knocks down the turret in the top lane. Sword has finished off the one in bot. Mid falls, and now every single inhibitor is about to be under siege. Gen.G. Oh dear.
Waiting out GRIFFIN. That's what they tried to do 2 games in a row. It worked in game number 2, but this time GRIFFIN are truly online. The 1-3-1 here has been devastating with the Baron buff. This is a Baron buff power play of repute. Can they actually finish off this turret, this inhibitor? Would be pretty greedy, but if Sword goes over 2 or more, it's possible.
I mean, aside, this is a kill and a dragon away from being a perfect game.
True. It all cavalcaded. All the kills came in one.
It was an avalanche. This wasn't a snowball.
I actually don't remember the number, but it was at least 8 kills in one passage of play. People rushing back, hoping they could stop the Baron, but unable to do so. Just waiting for GRIFFIN to make their kind of final push, it feels like. They've got 2 inhibitors down, there's 1 inhibitor to take. The item pickups on the back, just a complete Sterix, why not for the Darius? He's feeling pretty happy. Tarzan is definitely put his hand up for the MVP. Remember, we do have relative numbers here. So in EU and NA, it's the left number minus the other number. So we can do some quick maths here. Shout out to Quick Shot. And there was a 7,900 gold Baron buff power play. A really big one for GRIFFIN. We've seen much smaller ones this season.
Oh, we have. Well, just for good measure, get that double Ocean Drake ready to go. Elder going to be coming up in 6 minutes time. Inhib is still going to be down 3.5 minutes in mid-bot. Weren't able to finish off the top. That's the only reprieve, really, that Gen.G had.
The reprieves are over. They got a reprieve in game number 2. CV Max did them a solid and said, here's a crap draft, enjoy it. This time around, a lot more solid. I do wish we had the coaches to speak to CV Max.
I don't know if he wants to talk. I don't think he wants to get interviewed by about that draft. From game number 2, Ambition, pretty far forward. Jump coming through, he'll get shoved back by Viper. Still going to be alive here for the moment, but now the kidnap comes down. Ambition getting drawn out into the backside. Cosmic Radiance comes through just in time to try to keep him alive.
Oh, Sword's feeling this!
Assault over the wall, but Sword has that apprehend. That's going to be Chovy finding the pop. Sword still playing up so very close here. Gets the Decimate in, trying to heal up. Goes Golden. This Tarzan trying to stay alive. Tiny little Zach.
See how much damage the Vel'Koz does on the turn like we alluded to, but I don't know if it's going to matter, Achilles. The inhibitor's soon to be down.
Oh my god, the paddle start finding Ruler. Lahen's cheating forward, looking for the Shadow Dash taunt. Not going to have the connection, but GRIFFIN still into the base, knocking down the Nexus turrets. Now looking for the finish on the game. Seems to be trouble bubble into the backside. Ruler getting hit up, still going to be untouched for the moment, but GRIFFIN, they're just focusing down the Nexus. They have it down below half. Gen.G try their best to try to stop that from going down, but they cannot do it. GRIFFIN managed to get the finish here in game number 3. It was a big question mark. Not sure what happened in game 2, but they come back swinging on the blue side, and they come up with a series win in the end.
And you can see the relief on all their faces, the coach as well. This was a long one from the side of GRIFFIN and Gen.G. Gen.G thought they could outlast GRIFFIN a second time in a row. But this time, one mistake, a macro mistake around Baron that led to so many kills. Crown face checking led to a passage of play that was upwards of 2 minutes, Achilles. As more and more people died, the Baron went down. That was the buff they needed for an almost 8,000 gold Baron buff power play. See the resignation and frustration on the side of Gen.G. They will finish the first round robin, 6-3, but for GRIFFIN, this young team basically have done the Pokemon game of starting up and trying to collect badges. They've collected 8 of them. Only the Elite 4 remains for them, and the Elite 4 for them is KT Rolster's early game that was slightly too much for GRIFFIN to handle. Gen.G fall on the day, and GRIFFIN enter the second round robin, 8-1.
Yeah, that's going to be Gen.G slipping down the standings. Afrika going to slide up above them. Both of these teams going to be 6-3. Gen.G will now move to a +4 scoreline, so lose out on that 3rd place spot. Rough tidings here for these guys. And now this, throws the roster into even more confusion. We saw this start off with Haru, with Fly. They bring in Ambition, they bring in Crown, they get a win, but then they suffer here with a more standard draft from GRIFFIN in game 3. what does it mean the next time we see Gen.G come out?
Crown was the best player on Gen.G for the first 22 minutes, but his face check, that was of course the first domino in the multiple kills and Baron that the enemy team was able to pull off. So I'm no closer to knowing Achilles. Maybe you have to give him a start and see what happens and then sub in Fly for game 2 and 3 of a future series. I think Crown overall was much better than expected after so long away from the spotlight here in OGN. Close series, but GRIFFIN will feel good. They had to labor, they had to work for this one. They didn't roll over Gen.G like they did Kingzone, like they did FLICKR. MVP for me would be Tarzan for his Zac play. Let's see if they agree. They do. Tarzan picks up another MVP, 2-0 and 8. He was wonderful on the Zac.
I mean, not many people died on the side of GRIFFIN at all. Only 2 kills coming through for Gen.G, 14-2 to final kill count. But third MVP victory here for Tarzan as he tries to make his way up the standings. It's pretty stacked near the top.
Taunt flash. It's beautiful from Lahans. He makes his Shen look like an easy champion to master. And if you miss that taunt, you look very, very silly. It's a good start from him. And
this was
so much came up from Tarzan.
Yep.
This was the play we missed. You mentioned the instant cast of the ultimate. He knew the knockback would be enough, not a knock up. Like if you go for the full Let's Bounce or the Kidnap, Crown gets caught, and this goes on forever and ever, but it's only going to be grimaces on the face of Gen.G fans watching over it. This was so out of position. Talia could come up, Zoe could come up. They were able to cut off Crown. He was the first one to go down, but he died a second time in the same passage of play.
Yeah, turns out a lot of people died as this just kept carrying on. Court JJ going down to Chovy. Lahan's always present here with
We're still in the same passage of play.
And this is, this is still all basically the same fight. Tarzan comes up with yet another dragon, and then Sword gets ready to bleed Roller out very shortly thereafter. We won't even see it. Skip over that part. Go straight into the final battle.
Tarzan played the Zac, you know, a new pick. In many ways, new old pick, I guess we should say. Really, really well. Separating away the Bastion Link, so they got very little value out of Cosmic Radiance. Sword walks in, and it looked like it was going to be free kills for him. Great performance from Tarzan.
Yeah, and I appreciate his willingness to go back to this pick even after the game 2 loss. Still said, you know what, no, that wasn't the problem. There was so many other things going on with that draft that Zac could have still worked.
And we get to use a word to describe Tarzan and maybe GRIFFIN that we haven't previously. Mental resilience. That's not something you take for granted with a young team.
Yeah, especially not. But let's go ahead. Throw over to Joel for the translation on our MVP interview.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joe with your interview translation for GRIFFIN, who seem like they're on another brink of another loss that could have came through, but here they are still looking strong, keeping that hype going. We're gonna talk with Tarzan, of course, the only MVP. Of course, right now, how do you feel being at first place? Feels great to be at first place right now, but as a solo interview, I think it's I was worth getting it. I think I deserve to get that. I mean, head coach, you're definitely just smiling and laughing in that instance. I mean, Tarzan, I told him that he would never get the MVP. He played really, really well, and and he didn't receive the MVP on that game, so we thought that he can't play any better than what he did. So if you can't get MVP with that, you can't get MVP with any game. So maybe just goes to know that, you know, it's good to see that he got 2 MVPs tonight. So do you think he deserved it or not? Is what you're saying? I mean, Tarzan right now just put all about. There was no, basically, there was no jungler in the LCK that could compare to him right now. Just putting high ratings upon his player, and Tarzan definitely is feeling a little bit shy about that comment coming from his coach. All these compliments. But let's talk about the set 1 and set 3, how it went through. But set 2 was important because you guys were on a good path, and something that went away from you guys, or something that just ran away in that game number 2, and it allowed them to lose out, because we've seen countless plays where you guys really came away from basically an unbelievable situation where you guys still managed to win out the games. I think we're having a lot of fun because we know that in a situation when we're not supposed to win, we had to go with a little bit of conflict in game number 2, and something that wasn't really in agreement in terms of how we all interacted with it. So a big collision there, and basically we opted for the worst of the decisions out there. So whenever decision making was really important, that was just one string of difference that allowed our team to lose out in that game 2, where we had chose a little bit of different decision making. It could have been another win for us. And picks and bans was already a mistake itself. That was crucial for our game number 2 that ended up in loss. But we thought that game 2, as soon as the picks and bans were done, we already thought that we lost the game. So let's get ready for game number 3, is what we already said.
I agree with the coach.
Yep.
But just looking at that, the picks and bans, we gave feedbacks over it to have a better one in game number 3, and that was our objective there. And we do see you as a kind of an entertaining and as just a funny guy to be around, but did you feel like you have a kind of a scary kind of mode to your coaching style towards your player? What do you feel as a player, obviously? As the head coach, he really does respect our opinions, and anything that was a little bit in-depth in terms of discussion. Now, when we had to conversate through to really agree upon a specific decision making for game number 3 was important for us. Well, let's look at some of the highlights here and see from set number 1 and see how it all went about. Nocturne available, and meant that Tarzan was definitely not going to pass up on that one. And really just the ultimate timing. Each time that comes back on cooldown, you do something with it and make something of an effectiveness. And as a Nocturne, did you feel like it was going to be an easy game for you guys, especially just grabbing that champion for yourself? It was a lot more difficult than I expected. So the ultimates, when I had to use it at certain times, I just couldn't get the right timing at times. So of course, as the head coach, and we saw that Gen.G was a very different in terms of playstyle. What was the kind of the picks and bans? How did that affect you guys, knowing that they were like to pick a lot of unique picks? We were having a hard time trying to read into the minds of our opponents of what they were trying to do with their picks and bans, so it became a lot more difficult. I think we overthought at times, where we could have been a little more simple, a little bit more concise, but just kind of overthought it to a certain points. I think I learned a lot from their picks and bans today. It just feels like kind of overthinking to the fact that it's just a conventional pick, but maybe thinking that that's unconventional maybe would have been the thought of the head coach for Griffin. But we still went over with the Zac in set 3, and for set 2, obviously it wasn't the best. But in terms of how set 3 was a complete turnaround, and how you guys got the MVP towards the jungler, it wasn't the most popular pick in the jungle in the recent meta, and you feel like you wanted to play a lot more than others. Whenever the Zac becomes viable in a composition, I always express my favor towards wanting to pick that champion. Just feels like obviously the CC is becoming so important. Anything that you want to say with the head coach? It's definitely a prepared pick for us, and when we were trying to go with counter matchups against the opponent jungler, and we thought that the Zac would have been very well to go with. And it is a very caring player of Tarzan, and what do you think about him as a player? What is his positive attributes that you praise so highly upon him? I think whenever I do give very detailed feedbacks about the game, I don't do it much, but whenever there's a situation where you don't level up, where you don't take the XP, where you do something else with it, it's something that is in the very much the details, and I like to discuss that with Tarzan a lot. Just feels like a very casual conversation between Tarzan and the coach, and when you have talk about how they win, because 2 months ago, if you guys talk about that, people would have thought you as a very weird in terms of the topic of discussion being mentioned. And Tarzan, do you feel like, what do you think that you're so good at? What is your strength? I know when to open up team fights, and I know when to open up the fights, and it just feels like you just don't die with the champions that you pick, and KDA has been very clean for you, Tarzan, as always. You know, whenever I go into initiate, I put my life on it, and whenever I get out, I try to put my life on it to get out as well. So it could be just a KD player kind of thoughts of that for you, Tarzan. But now we're kind of heading towards where GRIFFIN is just not a fluke of having so many wins in the earlier parts of the season, but now we're already in the second half, and you guys are still just as good. Maybe a world championship contention for you guys is now becoming a possibility as with more games go by. Anything you want to say in terms of you wanting to go to World Championships? Whenever I went to the GRIFFIN team, and I knew that I've had high ambitions and high goals for this team. Even if we don't go, I think our direction should be set as one, and just should be parallel with all our players and the coaching staff. But I think even if we go to Worlds, I want us to be proven to be a team worthy of going to such a prestigious championship. And now trying to prove yourself as a team that deserves to go to Worlds, and we're going to see how that goes with. But Tarzan having a hard time getting the MVP because all of his teammates play so well every single game. But now a solo MVP for you, and anything you want to say in terms of getting first place right now? Yesterday, Sword was very sick and had to actually go to the ER. So, but I'm glad that he was able to recover quickly and do very well for our team. Anything you want to say to the fans? You have so many fans now, by the way. We thank you for your support. Not much in words needed from Tarzan, because his plays did all the talking, and that was GRIFFIN picking up a very nice win once again, and over a very strong team against Gen.G. And we're going to see how that will affect them in the future as they keep their run going. And we're going to see how that works for all of us, and we're going to see that back to you guys.
Well, trying to prove themselves worthy of making the World Championship. So far, a very strong argument here from GRIFFIN as they take down Gen.G. Game 2, again,
hey, the coach was pretty honest and said, whoops, we lost to the picks and bans. You know what, coach? You nailed it again. Yeah. Terrible draft that time. Well, couldn't get over that one. They won the last game, though. Good win overall. Better team took it down. That means that GRIFFIN end the first round robin 8-1. They are the best team in Korea. The first round robin, Gen.G, they're in the pack, they're in the top 5, they'll definitely be around. Yeah. Best of 5 stage, you'll imagine. We have one match left, match number 45 of 90. We are second one of the night. It's a bit of a banger, Achilles, it's a fun one. Hanwha Life Esports versus SK Telecom T1. The last of our Rift Rivals teams will return. SKT having a pretty good Rift Rivals, all things considered. Hanwha Life, though, they seem like the new hotness. They may not be GRIFFIN, but they're on the up.
Yeah, they were on the up and up, but couldn't help find some success there for the LCK. Knocked out the LMS, but beating the LPL still a bit too much of a challenge here. SKT, we'll see how much they take away from that tournament, how much they learn, and whether or not it's going to be enough to take down Hanwha Life, because they are looking very good as of late.
It's a bit of a late start, probably about 15 minutes, guys, maybe 20.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. Won't be too far after 8 p.m. We just want some more League of Legends.
You'll have that timer there on the bottom of the screen, so make sure you guys check that out. You'll see when we're getting ready to go into the second match of the night. Until then, we'll see you guys in just a bit.
But you're the criminal. No implication, you're unpredictable.
Coming up next, Hanwha Life Esports, SK Telecom T1, 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Summer Split.